Why Brad Pitt's golden era feels like a tragedy. In the pantheon of Hollywood deities, Brad Pitt has long sat upon the highest throne. To the casual observer, glancing at the magazine stands or scrolling through the carefully curated feeds of entertainment news, his life appears to be a masterclass in endurance and evolution. He is the ageless icon filming a blockbuster Formula One movie, the producer behind Oscar-winning cinema, and the man who seems to have defied time itself. His public relations team has painted a portrait of a man reborn, a figure who has shed the skin of a tumultuous divorce to emerge happier, healthier, and embraced by a new romance. Yet, if one looks past the polished veneer of the red carpet and listens to the growing chorus of observers who have watched his saga unfold for 2 decades, a hauntingly different narrative begins to emerge. It is a narrative that suggests that while Brad Pitt may have won the world, he has lost his soul. It posits that beneath the billion-dollar smile lies a man, grappling with a profound and irreversible failure. As a poignant observation from the public recently noted, he may have the greatest career success in the world, but he has arguably become a loser in the only game that truly matters because he destroyed his family due to his addiction. This is the paradox of Brad Pitt. We are witnessing the reign of a king of nothing, a man who stands amidst an empire of professional accolades while his personal legacy crumbles into dust. To understand this tragedy, we must first dismantle the definition of success that Hollywood tries to sell us. For years, the industry has operated on the assumption that box office numbers and prestige can bandage any personal wound. Brad Pitt's team has leaned heavily into this, projecting an image of a man living 1,000 wonders, unbothered by the past. But the public is no longer buying the ticket. The reality of his estrangement from his 6 children, Maddox, Pax, Zahara, Shiloh, Knox, and Vivian has become a deafening silence that drowns out the applause. The commentary surrounding his life has shifted from admiration to pity. There is a brutal truth in the sentiment that however many relatives or friends he surrounds himself with, they will never be his own children. He can fill his chateau with business partners and his weekends with famous peers, but he cannot replicate the bond of the family he shattered. The destruction of that unit was not an accident of fate. It was, as many observers note, a consequence of his own battles with addiction. While he has been open about his recovery, the scars left on his children appeared to be permanent. When his daughter Shiloh walked into a courtroom on her 18th birthday to legally excise the name Pitt from her identity, it was not merely a legal procedure. It was a public declaration that his success means nothing to her compared to the safety and stability she found elsewhere. This leads us to the most complex and controversial aspect of his current existence, the endless bitter legal war over Chateau Miroval. On the surface, this is a business dispute. Pitt argues that he built the winery into a global brand and that Angelina Jolie's share was a violation of their agreement. It is a logical, sterile, legal argument. However, a deeper psychological reading suggests something far more emotional is at play. Observers have pointed out a piercing reality. It is more than clear that he loved Angelina very much. And the fact that she left him makes him act this way, suing her to this day. There is a thin line between love and hate, and an even thinner line between litigation and obsession. If Brad Pitt were truly the happy, moved-on man his PR team portrays, he would likely have settled this dispute years ago. He would have chosen peace. He would have prioritized the emotional well-being of his children over a piece of property in France. Instead, he has chosen a war of attrition. Why? Because as long as he is suing Angelina Jolie, he is still in a relationship with her. It is a hostile, toxic relationship, but it is a connection nonetheless. The lawsuit acts as a tether to the woman who walked away. It is the rage of the rejected, the behavior of a man who cannot accept that his charm and power were not enough for her to stay. He is punishing her not for selling a vineyard, but for having the strength to leave him when he was at his lowest. It is a classic case of negative attachment. He would rather be her enemy than be nothing to her at all. This inability to let go casts a long shadow over his current romantic life. The media has been flooded with images of Brad and his new girlfriend in ESA Ramon. We see them walking on beaches, attending art gall, and smiling for the telephoto lenses. The narrative is clear. Brad has moved on. Brad is in love. Brad is safe. But the audience, increasingly savvy to the machinations of celebrity image management, is skeptical. A sharp critique has arisen that accuses this relationship of being a hollow performance. As one insightful commentator noted, you can clearly see that he does not love this new girlfriend. The body language gives it all away. They argue that there's no chemistry, no spark, and that the entire affair feels like a PR tactic designed to show the world that he is doing just fine. When one compares the sanitized, polite visuals of his current relationship to the raw, electric intensity he shared with Jolie, the difference is stark. With Angelina, there was a sense of two equals colliding, a passion that felt dangerous and vital. With his new partner, the dynamic feels curated, safe, and performative. It feels like damage control. It is the relationship equivalent of a press release intended to counter the narrative of the lonely, aging star who lost his family. But the eyes do not lie. And for many watching, Pitt's eyes no longer hold the fire they once did. They look like the eyes of a man going through the motions, playing the role of the happy boyfriend because the script demands it, while his heart remains anchored in the past. Ultimately, all roads lead back to the origin of this collapse. The incident on the private plane in 2016. It is the ghost that haunts every interview, every premiere, and every legal filing. It was the moment the veil dropped and the addiction that had been lurking in the shadows stepped into the light, shattering the trust of his wife and children. The public sentiment is unforgiving but astute. He knows very well what he did on that plane, and he will never forget Angelina. She is the witness to his greatest failure. She is the one who saw the man behind the myth and decided that the myth was not worth the price of her children's safety. To forget her would be to forget the family he destroyed, and it appears he can do neither. So we are left with the portrait of a successful loser. Brad Pitt stands today as a cautionary tale about the limits of fame and fortune. He has proved that you can win the Academy Award, you can win the lawsuit, and you can win the adoration of millions of strangers. But if you lose the respect of the people who live in your house, you have lost everything. His team will continue to issue statements about his joy and his new projects. The F1 movie will likely shatter records. The winery may even legally become his. But when the lights go down and the audience goes home, Brad Pitt returns to a life that is fundamentally smaller than the one he had. He is a king sitting on a throne of gold, ruling over an empire of dust, haunted by the silence of the children who no longer carry his name and the memory of the woman who was the only one he couldn't charm into staying. The tragedy is not that he fell. The tragedy is that he is trying to convince the world he is flying while everyone can see he is falling alone.